Paris Jackson took the witness stand, her navy blazer, her father's favorite color, a stark contrast to her trembling hands. Despite her nervousness, her voice remained unwavering as she produced a yellowed envelope marked in familiar handwriting. For Paris, not before you're 21. If they come for you, show them this. Can you confirm who wrote that? The judge inquired. Michael Joseph Jackson, my father, she replied firmly. The envelope contained a 3-page letter from early 2008, roughly 18 months before his death. It began abruptly. There are people in this industry I was told to never name, but your safety means more to me than silence. The letter continued. There are houses in the hills where no music is played, only silence and instruction. You'll hear them talk about training, but they don't mean vocals. They mean obedience. Most chillingly, the one they call SC is not a producer. He is a system. If you see him, don't sing. Federal investigators immediately flagged these initials. Those following this case recognize that SC has appeared repeatedly in the Diddy trial documents, in internal memos, artist rehabilitation protocols, and compliance override papers. Now Michael Jackson, arguably music's most powerful solo artist ever, was connecting this same entity to his daughter's safety. That winter, he became obsessed with keeping me away from studios, Paris testified. He said, they're circling again, the ones from 1993. I didn't understand then, but he'd pace around whispering things like, they put contracts in mirrors. Now and don't sign anything in a room with no corners. She paused. He made me promise, if anyone offered me mentorship through a foundation, I had to call him immediately. He said that's where they hide. On the letter's second page, Michael wrote, Combs is not the king, he's the courier. Watch who he delivers you to. This marks the first time Michael Jackson has been officially linked to Combs in a legal context. When asked if her father ever verbally mentioned Combs, Paris shook her head. No, he'd only call him the Velvet Hand. He said, they make you feel chosen, right before they take what they really came for. Why bring this letter forward now, Miss Jackson? The judge pressed. Paris hesitated before answering, because everything my dad feared is happening again. The training, the silence, the looping. And this time they came for girls I know. Dancers, stylists, some younger than me. This wasn't paranoia from an overprotective father. It was a survival blueprint, sealed and written by a man who tried to warn the world through music, but knew they'd only listen when it was too late. If you want this channel to continue exposing these cover-ups, hit that join button and become a member. Every deleted tweet, fabricated statement, and PR diversion takes hours to unravel. Paris continued her testimony after a brief pause. He had these nights where he wouldn't sleep. I'd hear him talking to empty rooms. Once in 2008, I caught him arguing with his reflection. She faltered momentarily. He told me, you can't see them, but they're always watching. They like reflections because they can hide the offer in the light. Though only 10 years old then, she clearly remembered his warning. Never sign anything in a room with no corners. An architectural detail hiding in plain sight. Multiple high-end studios, particularly those designated for artist training, featured custom designs with rounded ceilings, curved walls, and no harsh edges. He explained that corners were where truth hides, Paris testified. A room without corners meant someone was trying to control both sound and memory. Court records revealed Michael's security logs included a handwritten note from 2006. Do not allow SC past Gate B. No entry even if name is changed or masked. Velvet voice, velvet hand, hidden contracts, underlined twice. No recordings when he visits. Beside this entry appeared the initials DC, also underlined. Investigators believe DC potentially refers to delivery courier, individuals who transported contracted artists between estates, shows, or training locations. This aligns with multiple witnesses in the Diddy case who described velvet men arriving late to quietly remove people. In 2011, Diddy quietly acquired a Hollywood Hills property through a shell company. The blueprints revealed a circular main, living space without sharp edges, an underground studio labeled Phase C, a private elevator accessible only from the guest house, and most disturbing, a glass-walled room without a ceiling designated as a visual reorientation suite. Michael's letter warned, "They put you in glass, so you think it's freedom, but glass bends light and hides what's really happening." Paris told the court. He said they built rooms to scramble your mind, that mirrors and glass weren't for vanity, but for reflection disruption, so you couldn't remember what actually happened inside. A 2009 diary entry from Paris reads, "Daddy said a man offered him the mirror room again. He told them no." According to her testimony, he added, "I've already seen what they do with sound." An authenticated personal letter from Michael, discovered in 2020, stated, "The ones who offer you the most light are often the ones who take the most sound. And when you can't sing without hearing their approval, you're no longer singing at all." Multiple Diddy case victims have used similar phrasing. "He made it feel luxurious, like you were lucky." Paris explained, "My dad always called it velvet because velvet covers sharp things, and the sharpest thing in Hollywood is silence. He warned about the voice that comes with promises, the hand that signs without ink, and the rooms that echo but never remember." At 18, as Paris's modeling career flourished and acting offers arrived, she received an email from someone called Luca S., affiliated with a creative executive placement firm. They claimed to represent a private music consortium, not a label, a development guild. "They told me my father had cleared the path and they could make me the next message carrier." That exact phrase, message carrier, has emerged in 3 separate yard. Diddy trial testimonies. A dancer instructed to deliver presence through choreography, a stylist taught to dress stars for conditioning influence, and an ex-vocal coach who quit when told her student was being groomed to loop phrasing for delivery to mass audiences. Paris now claims they were attempting to pull her back into the system her father had warned about. "They said I didn't need to be a star, just a symbol," she testified. After declining their offer, Paris noticed disturbing shifts in her public's image, a canceled magazine spread, last-minute editorial changes, a sudden wave of Twitter hostility questioning her authenticity. Communications from former collaborators simply ceased. "It was like someone flipped a switch," she told the judge. "I went from being a legacy to being labeled unstable, just like he warned me." In 2009, shortly before his death, Michael recorded a private rehearsal intended solely for family archives. At timestamp 3:44, he pauses mid-song, stares directly into the camera, and silently mouths words never spoken aloud. "Tell Paris mirror light is false." This clip remained unreleased until this trial. The court replayed the moment 3 times, confirming his lips formed those exact words each time. Paris testified, "He knew the light would tempt me, but he also knew how to break its spell." She revealed her father had given her a bracelet with a small mirror fragment embedded in the charm. He told me, "If the light ever makes you doubt what's real, look at it through this. Not their mirror, yours." The email from Luca S. concluded with an unsettling pitch. "Your father opened the portal. Now it's your turn to carry the echo." Paris responded with a single sentence. "I don't echo. I remember." The world thought she was merely his daughter. But Paris wasn't just carrying his name, she was carrying his warning, and this time she brought the receipts. Former security chief James Lurrell took the stand with a single folder and visible hesitation. "Michael trusted very few people near the end," he began, "but there were moments he let the mask slip, and what he told me changed everything I thought I knew about that world." Michael had been scheduled to perform at a private after-party hosted by powerful executives. Upon arrival, he froze immediately. "I saw him stare at the stage," James testified. The floor was red glass, ceiling mirrors, no microphones, just 3 white spotlights and a couch. According to insiders, this setting represented a contract ceremony, a ritualized performance symbolically marking compliance, silently finalizing high-stakes deals, binding performers to specific influence loops. "Michael refused to go on stage," James continued. "He pulled me aside and said, 'They want me to echo something that doesn't belong to me.' Then he walked out. The room emptied silently. No footage was ever released. 3 months later, while preparing for a press shoot, James noticed something glinting in the dressing room mirror's corner. Unscrewing the frame, he discovered a lens and wire running through the wall. Michael simply stared at it and whispered, "They always watch the voice, especially when it's trying to heal." James submitted a dated, verified photograph showing a microphone disguised as a light bulb. He told me the system wanted more than his sound. They wanted his ability to move emotion, to control how people feel through his voice, not just what they hear. In a journal entry, Michael wrote, "They study resonance, not lyrics. It's why they let you sing as long as you don't feel." In a chilling parallel, 3 different victims in the Diddy case have referenced a red room. One called it the place where they see who's ready to leave themselves behind. Another stated, "It's not a place, it's a test. You walk in whole and come out echoing." And now we know Michael faced it too, but refused. "The last night I worked for him," James recalled, "he hugged me and said, 'You know why they hate me? Because I sing without the system.' Then he added, 'And if they ever come for Paris, tell her he never signed it.'" The Velvet Room, the contract ceremony, the voice they tried to loop but couldn't, and the father who spent his final years not just protecting a legacy, but preparing a daughter to finish the fight. Paris stood, reached into her coat pocket, and pulled out a small red envelope. Without announcement, she walked directly to the judge and handed it over. Inside was a USB drive labeled Jackson Vault T2011 for Paris if they ever ask. The drive contained a 91-second audio file of Michael Jackson speaking softly, likely recorded around 2007. They used to call it a gift, then they called it a product. Then they said, "We'll take it from here." After a pause, they build the walls with compliments and fill the rooms with velvet. And when you try to leave, they say you're hurting the ones who believed in you. He concludes, "I'm recording this because someday I may not be able to say it." After the audio played, Paris explained that her father gave her a teddy bear weeks after this recording. On the tag, he wrote, "If it ever feels too quiet, look in the stitching." She never understood until last year when the stitching began unraveling, revealing a tiny chip embedded near the bear's neck. On it, a second audio file, this one from Paris herself. The court played this second recording. Paris couldn't have been older than 7. Through fuzzy audio, you could hear her whisper, "Daddy said if I ever get lost, not to listen to the man with the soft voice because he makes you forget your name." Then silence, followed by her young voice singing, "They can't hear you if you scream inside." "I don't remember recording that," she told the judge, "but I remember the fear." Federal prosecutors immediately requested a recess. One agent reportedly commented off camera, "If Jackson protected his daughter with this level of foresight, then this wasn't paranoia, it was preemptive testimony." Michael used a coded vault system for unreleased archives. Insiders now believe T1211 was his shorthand for targeted 12 Room 11, his private studio, the only one without external security access. According to his housekeeper, it's where he'd retreat when he didn't trust the walls. Paris stood before the court holding the bear and declared, "I didn't come here to hurt anyone. I came because he told me they'd try again. And they did. This isn't about fame, it's about freedom. And someone has to say it first." She paused. Not every legacy is a song. Some are whispers in mirrors, files in vaults, and warnings sewn inside a childhood toy. In his 2002 will, notarized and certified, Michael Jackson included a single handwritten line beneath the typed legal clauses. No inheritance may be used to activate the Velvet Clause. Attorneys marked it as non-legal phrasing, likely symbolic. But in court today, that clause became the final puzzle piece. Thanks to Paris, we now understand what Velvet Clause meant. Federal agents recently obtained a private development contract from a defunct production label tied to Bad Boy Entertainment. Buried in the language, page 19, paragraph 4. Subject agrees to adhere to influence conditioning during all appearances under the Velvet Clause. This referred to appearance control, emotional modulation, exposure to silent rooms for resonance dampening. Essentially, a mechanism for behavioral programming disguised as branding. Paris told the court, "He left the warning in plain sight, but they thought it was art." Michael had hired his own coder to embed keywords into legacy files. Velvet Clause was one, so were Glass Echo and Mirror Loop. Each connects to ongoing investigations into trauma-based artist manipulation. Inside the will's archival box, court officials found a second red envelope labeled "If She Ever Speaks." Inside was a single sentence in Michael's handwriting. "They will try to silence the ones who still sing their own song." Below that, a thumb drive containing a document titled "The Ones Who Escaped." The file listed 14 names, each with 2 dates, one marked entry, one marked withdrawal. The final name, Paris M. Jackson, entry A, withdrawal initiated. Prosecutors believe it tracked individuals who either willingly entered the system or were born adjacent to it and later broke free. Only 3 names had both dates completed. One insider noted, "It wasn't just what Paris showed them, it's that Michael prepared this before she even knew what she'd be facing." That's not paranoia, that's legacy protection, and it worked. The judge has ordered a full forensic review of Jackson Estate archives, a separate subcommittee to verify Velvet Clause documents across labels, and witness protection for Paris, until full disclosure protocols are met. One DA reportedly stated, "This just blew open an entirely new line of investigation. The Jacksons aren't just victims, they're whistleblowers. A father who foresaw the coming battle, a daughter who refused to echo, and a courtroom that finally heard the unfiltered song."